Hey guys, Salvage Knife and Tool. So, before you go heat treating, and you can do it before or after you put the bevel in, it doesn't really matter. You're going to want to drill your pinholes because the steel is darn near impossible to drill after you heat treat. It's super tough. So, super easy. You lay out a line where you want your pins. You can lay out multiple lines if you want to do, 2 rows of pins or whatever floats your boat. Pin wise, I think at least you need 3. That's just my personal opinion. But I use the die-chem to, the die-chem layout die. And then I'll measure out something, and a lot of times I do a pin every inch or so, and then I'll do something at the at the rear for a lanyard hole if I'm going to put one on. But when drilling metal, it helps a lot if you have a little punch. You can use a nail or whatever, but and once I draw the straight line, then I'll measure it out and I'll put a little mark where I'm going to drill each hole. But then it really helps to drill straight lines, because I learned the hard way, without punching them, your drill bit will want to wander. So put a punch on there, smack it with a hammer, and all it does is make a little dimple, but it makes a huge difference when drilling your holes. And you can see, even hitting those dimples, they're all pretty straight on, but this one it's just slightly off. I strive for perfection, but the reality is I'm making knives in my garage, and that 16th or 32nds of an inch doesn't really bother me that bad. That's just me. You do what you got to do. So that's the easy way to lay out your pinholes. Now, I use 1/8 inch brass rods quite frequently. You can pick them up from Lowe's or Home Depot store or whatever. If you drill an exactly 1/8 inch hole, it's not always going to fit real well. You might have to hammer it through. So I will go a fraction of an inch larger sometimes, to make it a little easier. The other thing you can do is, after you cut the end off, it's a little jagged and you've moved material, so the end will have a burr on it. And so I'll cut the pins to roughly the length that I want, and then just chamfer the edges a little bit, and that'll make it easier to put in once it comes time for glue up. The other thing I do before I start heat treating and whatnot is I'll test fit my handle material, so that if I have to adjust the holes, it's easier. The other thing I'll do is I'll use the knife as a guide, and I will clamp this knife to my handle material where I want it, and then drill through my pinholes again into the handle material. That way everything lines up. And then after that, go back through and put your pins in to see if it fits. Sometimes, the bit will wander, or if you're not using a drill press, it might be at a slight angle or something. And this is a lot easier to take care of before you heat treat the metal. So doing it this way, I know that my pins all fit, just a little snug. And when I start doing the scales, I also put the front edge on, whatever way I'm going to angle it, because after you glue it on, that's another story. So next one we'll start looking at handles and material and stuff. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the messages below. Thanks.